It's that time again, folks. You asked the questions. Now it's time to receive the bacon! Bacon equals answer. 240 participants. So that is 240 folks who actually asked questions that were there on the comment page for me to read. At least 400 questions, because you gotta factor in I allowed 2 questions from each person. Whew! This notepad file, in which I compiled, gathered every single question so that I could read them out, and I typed in little outlines, at the very least for most of them. You know, little notes in of what I might want to show, like images or like a website to go with the question. This thing is, let me check to make sure, because I only woke up a half hour ago, and God forbid I spread misinformation. Yes, 264 kilobytes of text. Woohoo! And because there are so many questions, I've decided that we'll go ahead and do something here in the background. Pure strategy mode of Dungeon Defenders isn't very rewarding, but it doesn't require much thought either, since my hero can't interact much at all with the mobs that spawn. And for those of you who are unaware, this is something I started, well, this is the 3rd one, to commemorate this. It was my birthday on November 22nd, and my first 2 Q&A videos have come up much closer than that. But as of now, I'm recording this on December 1st, 2013. It took me so long to go through everything that had been sent in. I'll be dividing these, I think, into 30 to 60 minute chunks, sort of depending on the particular questions and the flow and how everything is going. And over the course of this, I'll be adding various sources. I'm using Open Broadcaster software to handle this. Hopefully so that I don't have to do any post-processing later of encoding the video down to a smaller size, so the game's not going to look as awesome as it could, but OBS does a pretty good job. So go ahead and remove that. Really, it's just background filler for my voice. That's why oh, you guys should be able to hear the music, but it's not that much of an emphasis. Alright, let's go ahead and pull out my apprentice, who already has his genie equipped. Oh man, a lot of fucking questions, folks. You know, whenever I started taking questions, Google had not changed their comment system. You can go onto the comment page for that video and take a look, and you'll see that you can't even reply to most of those comments, or interact with them much more. Courtesy of how things went. Okay, I don't want to deal with that crystalline portal. Let's get us, well, obviously we want to do a nightmare survival. It'll be on pure strategy. Or really pure strategy rather than survival. I want to do something that has the potential to give me a nice pet without that much effort involved. So actually go ahead and do the summit. I've done this on pure strategy before a bit, but what the hell. Maybe Glitterhelm? Might do Glitterhelm. Glitterhelm takes more effort. I guess I am going to be here for a while, though. Okay. First entrant is, I'm actually going to have to turn down the music on my end so that I can hear myself think. But I don't think I'm going to be turning down the music on your end, though. It probably shouldn't impact it overly much. Is that better? That's better for me. Okay, the first entrant comes from TeddiousBear. Hey there, Teddious. Who asks, Alter Ego Run Through number 2, and your opinion on then Voltron Army. What would take it to bring? What would it take to bring it back to its quote former glory, or is it a lost cause? I think I have played enough Alter Ego. Of course, you have the run that started before I fell down my stairs with my Zeus laptop. Back in mid-2011, so I never finished uploading the rest of that series. On the other hand, you have all the times I played Alter Ego last year in live broadcasts. As of now, I have no interest in returning to the game. I also don't actually need this genie out. Since going to be playing in pure strategy mode. We'll actually get the Big Daddy pet out. And those things can stay injured for now. Yeah, as of now, I have no interest in returning to the game. As for the Voltron Army, the community website still exists in a similar format to how it did back in March 2010. Naturally, there are a few problems. First, the virus shutdown last year really did a number on attendance. Second, when the website got transferred over to a new server, everyone's passwords got turned into war garble, and numerous old posts got corrupted in some fashion. Consequently, every old user who seeks to return needs to either get their password reset, ideally by contacting me, as I noted in a forum announcement, and that forum announcement is actually still up, or they must create a new account. Third, registering for the website has been a pain in the ass for all these years. As of last year, I mollified the problem along with removing 99% of all spam bot activity, as well as the unreliability of user registration by email verification. Numerous people, including myself at times, reported that the forum system failed to send email notifications. How did I do this? By restricting all new user accounts to administrator approval. I've actually taken to writing personal emails for each person I approve, or I try to remember to do so that they'll know their accounts have been activated. The forum email system is... Fourth, the community, whether anyone likes it or not, including the person that I'm about to mention, sprung up from the existence of Jeff. Jeff Major, what if Jeff, yada yada. Hexcrack's an old real-life friend of his, and he's the webmaster. I'm one of the few hobbyists who regularly mentions the Voltron Army. Alright, I will have to worry about a few spiders here in pure strategy. Right, we'll have to compensate for those. So, let's go ahead and... I'm gonna try something just different. I don't want to spend that much time thinking about this. I don't have a set pure strategy plan in my head for every single one of these motherfuckers. We'll do a fireball, we'll do a lightning, and then we'll have this over here to sort of watch the 6 of the towers, as well as that crystal back there, in the case of wyverns, although I might have to put its own dedicated tower there. I also should have started this on wave 13 so that I'd have more mana. Things Grimith is remembering. It actually would have progressed us further, but I have a lot of time to kill. It's fine. We're gonna be here for a while. It's no rush. Okay. Hexcrack's an old real-life friend of his, and he's a webmaster. I'm one of the few hobbyists who regularly mentions the Voltron Army as a place to actually go for conversing and fun and what have you, and there aren't many people who actually bite for the reasons I just mentioned. Ultimately, I think the answer to your question is somewhere in the middle. The forum doesn't mean anything more or less than it did 3 years ago. The place serves mostly as a LP repository, but it also facilitates connections between new hobbyists, and there's still a group of people who frequent the Voltron Army. TeamSpeak server. That's not me. It is. I've been getting back on more recently, so I have been changing on that front. But over the past, year and a half, I really stopped getting on. But I have used it for some tabletop gaming because, one of the reasons why it's fucking there. Definitely got to make use out of that, man. Come on, come on. Let's go ahead and tilt you back to there to watch over that. Of course, this doesn't exactly help watch over ogres in these lanes either. I realize that. Sort of, I ended up getting concerned more about spiders than anything else. I could put proximity mines over the towers, I suppose. That'd be cheaper, huh? I think I just thought of that idea. What a great idea to have. Okay. The second question, man, if I'm going to take this long to get through a single question, we're going to be here for a while, right? Especially if I get distracted by dungeon defenders. Sokozuma of TeddiousBear. There isn't, you know, a third capital letter there, so I'm not quite sure where to go with that one. Who asks, where's the beard? That is the first instance of asking where the beard is, and are you using magic to have permanent hungover person's voice? I shave bi-weekly. This is nothing new. Not every video I've recorded of my face depicts me wearing a beard. I think this is part ignorance, part viewability, and part derp. After growing facial hair for half my life, I've come to the conclusion that I don't like my face with a beard. I've worn it trimmed before, and I've let it grow wild for months, but neither appeal to me. I left the days of no-shave November, which, of course, is over now, but wasn't at the time that I recorded that video, behind me. I lead a professional life, until my attitude changes considerably, considering my personal appearance. I guess I can actually sell those for full value, even though they've been damaged, because the build phase isn't yet. Sweet. I might put those further back so I have more room which to put the towers. I don't like to put my towers so close to the Eternia Crystal, because then bad things happen. I also probably won't have to deal with many ogres, given the fact that this is pure strategy, and that tends to be a thing. Let's see here. Focus, Grimith. Use your words. And I'm clumping up my towers and putting them in a straight line because Zodell, who has been a longtime viewer of mine, actually gifted me the Series EV pack, and that's changed how I play this game considerably in regards to tower layups and situations. But yeah, until my attitude changes considering my personal appearance, the best I'll have is my perpetual stubble. Maybe a few days worth of growth, but that's it, because I shave bi-weekly. To answer your second query, I recorded the announcement video for Ask Question Receive Bacon 2013 less than a day after I finished Extra Life 2013, during which I streamed for 31 hours. My voice still had not recovered from the massive effort. It was a big fucking deal. Now, how do I want to do this to try to, like, maximize defense units? So I want to put all the defenses, like, here in a single line, have them watch over that, and then watch over the avenues for wyverns? That'd be dangerous if an ogre came bebopping down that lane, though. I'll have to think about that. Obviously, the lightning tower is, first up, because of its limited range. Then we can have a fireball turret, which covers that angle pretty well. We'll have a deadly striker tower, which can also cover that angle, as well as attack wyverns who approach. And obviously, I no longer have the room as of now to deal with any wyverns that come up there. Hopefully the deadly striker tower in the north can deal with a wyvern that spawns there. I'll have to think about this more. I'll probably end up putting some magic blockades over here. I'd like to... I don't have, like, set defenses in my head for most maps, especially not with the Series EV that I got now, so I like to play around with things. Yeah, it'll be good. We can let that roll in the background. Oh, shit, there's another chest. So yeah, my voice hadn't recovered for the massive effort. Maybe it still hasn't. Maybe you're just referring to my voice in general, in which case, I don't know. I don't quite know what answer I want to give you here. Here we go. That'll be sufficient. Fantastic. And I could actually sell these sons of bitches. And put here some magic blockades to prevent raffle from occurring, which has been known to occur to me from time to time. And that puts me a little broke, so let's go ahead and get this wave started. BlockyUniverse, question 3, or rather, entrant 3. Before you started to upload videos to YouTube, did you have any subscriptions you like to watch? Also, do you still go on YouTube to watch videos made by other people? Until I created my account on March 18th, 2010, I didn't use YouTube. Sure, I was linked to a video occasionally, or recommended something by a friend, but I had no interest in this website. Hell, when I first started this hobby, I was hoping to avoid it. I used Dailymotion for a few weeks, and I enjoyed their extra video length. Unfortunately, there were a few problems which necessitated my transfer here. So to answer your first question, no. Now your second question, without a doubt, All of my subscriptions are visible on my channel. I currently have 16, and they cycle on the right sidebar, because the right sidebar can't fit all of them. You can see them all by clicking on the About tab of my channel page. I don't watch everything my subscriptions do, and I occasionally view series outside of those 16, but those are the ones, they're the ones I go to the most. Let's go ahead and drop some mana here. I need my Series EV, who has a bounty hunter skin. Entrant 4 comes from BioDissonance, who asks, after completing Thief Gold, do you have any plans on skipping through Thief 2? And does Mr. Train rework his schedule to make a guest appearance, or does he drop by uninvited? Let me lay down some stuff here. There we go. Does he drop by uninvited to grace us with his otherworldly insight? Tiny Shopkeeper requested I play Thief 2 as part of the Rewarding the Rewarders 2013 to 21X opportunity I offered earlier this year, so I'll get around to it eventually. Concerning the train, I don't know. You'd have to ask it. Entrant 5 comes from Acedonas. Acedonas? By the way, something that was popular last year was me trying or attempting to put timestamps for every individual question in the margin. I can't do that while I'm playing Dungeon Defenders, so hopefully, you know, there's gonna be people who do listen to this every question, everything I have to say. Maybe one of them will also be generous enough to spare the time to put timestamps in for some folks. I'll try to put in the video description, but comment limits actually are larger than video description limits, because video description limits have, like, they're capped at like 5,000 characters. So obviously only one person will need to do this, and only one person will need to post it. Otherwise it just create a lot of blah having that on the field from so many people. But yeah, maybe someone will be generous enough. It doesn't have to be you. But if no one's generous, then no one gets it, and it doesn't bother me either way. Because I'm an asshole. Alright, I didn't put a buff beam over here. This will leave me with, what? Oh, no, I did. Hey, sweet. That actually leaves me with 20 defense units. I can place down 4 strength drain auras. Awesome. Alright. So yeah, Entrant 5, Acedonas, have you ever played or heard of Dominion's 4, Thrones of Ascension? And are you aware of that E459 isn't healthy for your body and is neither good for your mind? There's a Dominions game after 3? Ah, how about that? Not as perplexing as E459, but since I don't plan on doing Googling either, that's the best I've got. Entrant 6 comes from Cloudski. Hello, Cloudski. Wait, who is this baby-faced individual on the screen? Not baby-faced. I think it's a stupid statement. I haven't done a clean shave in a long time. I just use my trimmer and I take it down to a stubble. Also, why did you shave it off? I seem to recall the beard looking good on you. Well, that has already been answered, Cloudski. Thanks for playing. Entrant 7 comes from O'Toole, who asks, I always wondered, boxers or briefs? For number 2, have you ever worked in live theater / radio? You have your equipment on. How far does that reach? Ooh, that doesn't reach that. Doesn't reach the blockades. Well, fuck. Alright. Is there a particular area that I don't think will need this? Well, this avenue down here always ends up being pretty weak. I think it's the weakest of the lot. For starters, it doesn't have to deal with fucking wyverns. And I'd rather have the strength drain auras, just to limit damage that comes up. It also will temporarily remove elemental immunities before they hit the magic blockades, which will permanently remove elemental immunities. could always remove the magic blockades here, but I like to be pretty careful, particularly on pure strategy mode. Now this buff beam is pretty far away. I can get in there. There you go. Success! I always wondered boxers or briefs. For number 2, have you ever worked in live theater radio? Boxers. Briefs are too constrictive. I made the switch to boxers when I was 14. Regarding the second question, no. Entrant 8 comes from Revocaine. Did you record the question video on a potato or a toaster? Now for my second question, fuck, technically I just asked who. Neither, Revocaine. I recorded it on a bookcase. Alright, entrant 9 comes from Vladimir G. Lennon, who asks, what do you consider yourself in the political spectrum to be in? And then, how did you start the whole YouTube hobby? I don't consider these archer minions important enough to actually include in tower buff beams. I might change my mind on that one day. They'll act as a shield of some kind. They can also do pretty good rotation. Let's see, it's going to be 20 defense units there. 40, 60, 80, 100. I'd leave like an extra 60 to play, 65 to play around with. So, maybe sell you. Probably shouldn't have these so close. And I could have just moved the guy instead of fucking selling him entirely. We'll have him there. We'll probably have at least a Crystal Guardian or 2. You know, just in case. Raisins. Yeah, we'll just actually fucking leave you instead of selling you. That'll be good. I consider myself outside of the spectrum. I conform to no party in the United States political system, and I evaluate all candidates as best as I can, taking numerous sources into consideration. While there's a glut of data on presidential candidates, it's more challenging to learn about my senators, or representatives, or governor candidates. And it's a fucking pain in the ass to get anything on the folks running for lesser offices, like coroner or sheriff. Consequently, I start with a negative disposition towards any politician who, in theory, serves my interests, and I examine their actions to see whether they're the best option for me. I find it deeply unfortunate that George Washington's numerous warnings regarding the evils of political parties did not stick with the American people. Also, I don't have a wall of sorts here, so I'm probably actually just going to wall this off with archers to prevent stray bullshit from coming through. Because I've definitely had that happen before, too, on maps. Then a magic blockade or something. That's, what, 20 of my summoner units? That's not so bad. This side's already weakened by the fact that I don't have a strength drain aura, though. So those magic blockades are vulnerable to going down quicker. Particularly since I'm not putting proximity mine traps up. So I think this side might be what ends up killing me when I get to wave 20. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see here. Yeah, I start with a negative disposition towards any politician who in theory serves my interests, and I examine their actions to see whether they're the best option for me. I find it deeply unfortunate that George Washington's numerous warnings regarding the evils of political parties did not stick with the American people. The bitter rivalry of the two-party system, first engineered by the deep division between Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson, has been egregiously harmful to our federal republic. And I have little tolerance for anyone who has the audacity to argue that the monstrous political machine has been of great service to the American people. If you're looking for a more concise answer, perhaps something on an XY axis, you won't find it here. You've queried a topic on which I am both passionate and educated. My opinions are as numerous as they are varied, and I don't know of any demarcation on popularly accepted spectrum which encompasses my thoughts, except for a sort of political compass, which we'll get to later. For a better understanding of where I stand, other than listening later. I don't remember which entrant it was who asked. I recommend reading President Washington's farewell address to the American people. Before he retired to Mount Vernon. Now, for your second and easier question, on March 5th, 2013, I made a post on the Bay 12 Curses subforum featuring a narrative screenshot playthrough of Liberal Crime Squad, with videos on Dailymotion offered as an alternative means of enjoyment. I've had a natural interest in watching people play games since I was a kid, and that led me towards sharing stories about gaming experiences with internet friends, which led me to extensively enjoying after-action reports of strategy games. Eventually, I ended up learning through one of those friends that there was an entire internet subculture devoted to gaming playthroughs, the Let's Play hobby. I kept an eye on it for a few years, but I didn't see myself doing it until I rediscovered Liberal Crime Squad. And I decided that I would share an alternative playstyle of the game, one which didn't involve the Liberal Guardian or spray paint graffiti, but instead involved punching people in the goddamn face. A little concerned about this, Crystal. At the time, I thought it'd be the only series I'd ever do, and I uploaded the videos to Dailymotion at first because the video length limit was longer than YouTube's. However, some folks mentioned difficulty in accessing Dailymotion videos due to country restrictions, and I ended up growing tired of it myself, so I began uploading to YouTube. Some time passed, I tried other games, and we eventually got to the situation where we are now. Let me just fucking focus on setting up the rest of these goddamn defenses, since apparently I'm gonna keep herping and derping and not fucking do anything of merit. Given how weak this side is, I guess I will leave that guy up. I will put a guy there. This one's pretty far away and alone, so I guess I'll put this guy back. 8. And I can actually set up another one. There. You can oversee that. Hooray, I got them all set up. Now, I actually want to upgrade my buff beams first and foremost. But I don't have to worry about thinking or setting up defenses anymore. It's fantastic. Entrant 10 comes from Martin SCH, who asked, do you have a favorite active game developer at present? Also, what do you think about Space Rangers HD? I don't have a favorite active game developer at present. Perhaps the closest example to one would be for Axis Games. Although since they were acquired by Take-Two Interactive, I've been particularly after Civilization 5, I've been pretty wary of them. Maxis, of course, owned by EA, Electronic Arts. They're still the Blizzard Activision conglomerate, but I'm not as thrilled with them anymore like I was as a kid, so I'd say no. Regarding Space Rangers HD, I first heard about it, late October, I think. Saw some screenshots, thought it looked cool, but I don't have an educated opinion on the game. Like with American politicians, I start with a negative disposition towards game remakes. Sure, it builds off an already enjoyable game and it offers new features, but I don't know right now whether Space Rangers High Definition is worth my money. This next one comes from TerrorKekX, who says, great voice. So here my question. If you had the chance of creating your own game, which genre would it be, and which innovative features would be in that game? Did you actually had any thoughts about it? It's been some time since I've had a genuine, if I created a game fantasy. I left those days behind me in my late teens, when I and one of my internet friends, a guy who lived halfway across the world, would talk at all hours about what crazy experiences we had, and what we do with a game. I'm a creative guy who spends considerable time with his head in the clouds, but I try not to think too long about things I won't do. But you know, I didn't write this down. I'll try to give you an entertaining answer by coming up with an idea on the fly. Righto, so the game will cover 3 genres: strategy, simulation, and RPG. The setting is a fantasy world comprised of numerous realms with competing kingdoms. You assume the role as the ruler of one of these kingdoms. Now, all these kingdoms in this incredibly detailed fantasy world would have their own ideologies and capabilities, shapeable by starting disposition and random variants. And they'd compete with each other and attempt to achieve a few certain goals, both commonly held among all factions, but perhaps a few goals unique to each faction. Maybe they wouldn't, because there'd be a varying storyline behind it all, one partly based on chance and circumstance, which would completely change the scope of the entire game. Perhaps the world's magic begins fading. Maybe an elder evil has begun the process of awakening. Grimith, did I just hear you advocate crazy randomness in a game? Fuck you, this is my spontaneity talking here. Spontaneity. Whatever. Anyway, whatever this major plot event ended up being, it completely shaked the core of the game. As every ruler would have a storyline involving it, differing actions and reactions throughout the remainder, different actions and, actions and reactions throughout the remainder of the game. Now, this is a random variance turn-based game. What does it mean? You don't know when someone is getting their turn during any given interval. What can an individual do during their turn? Oh, all sorts of things you might expect a ruler of a fantasy kingdom could do during said turn. And perhaps a few things you wouldn't. See, the game engine operates on individual characters, the rulers, and the incredibly special people to whom he trusts his important tasks, his coterie, if you will. Each character starts with some basic values. You know, one individual might be a leader of a warrior regiment, skilled in attack, with little regard for personal defense. Complementing that person could be the commander of a soldier regiment, skilled in defense, and given the special ability to white knight the other units around them. Stuff like that. Some folk would be better than others, but all would have their own template unit assigned to them if they ever got caught on the battlefield. Fucking ogre there. That's why I waited around, because I wanted to upgrade that to level 5. Where was I? Oh, god damn it. Some folks, I was just talking about, like, different unit type things. What else? Some folks would be better than others, but all would have their own template unit assigned to them if they ever got caught on the battlefield. An administrator, for example, let's say he would have a corps of archers he'd attempt to direct using tactics, or maybe a few mages, depending on, like, his own background or proclivities or some other thing. A fantasy thing. Naturally, there'd be other values outside of combat, too. Values like negotiation and construction and espionage, which you may have need for during the process of the game. Furthermore, all of these characters would have a set of personal statistics, because there might be a time when they aren't actually leading armies, like if you go on a dungeon exploration, or there is a personal duel, or you need to fight the major plot event. Combat would also be turn-based. For army combat, there'd be a time limit attached. Each unit has its own set of action points, and their actions, if they have more than one possible action, would consume a variety of those action points. Said action points do not replenish during that time limit. Once the time limit expires, the battle would not necessarily end, though, perhaps carrying over to the next turn. Maybe like a month, or a week, or a year, or whatever circumstance in which the game's operating in. haven't quite decided that right now. Once the time limit expires, though, the battle will not necessarily end, perhaps carrying over to the next turn, with all these action points being restored. On the other hand, personal combat would have no time limit and would continue until a decisive conclusion had been reached. Now, naturally, there would be experience to gain. As you use these heroes more, you'd have the opportunity to grant them special skill advancements, or the opportunity to use special maneuvers during battle. Perhaps an administrator could be gifted with the ability to provide a buff to all allies in the battlefield by becoming an exemplary tactician, or a warrior commander could be given the opportunity to, maybe you could give him a particular attack which focuses less on dealing damage to the enemy unit, maybe so much as trying to capture important people. Perhaps like the particular officer who's leading that enemy unit, or like forcing a duel, or I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, that's just a basic off-the-cuff core. Naturally, you'd, oh, damn it, that 500 crystal faded. Naturally, you'd have to have a New Game Plus feature unlockable after you normally beat the game, where you have the opportunity to create your own ruler. Maybe you create a custom character who gets inserted into a special storyline through which, by fluke or some other peculiar circumstance, has managed to become the leader of one of these kingdoms. Alternatively, you could go an entirely different direction and allow the capability to play not as a ruler, but as a particular hero in the service of a ruler. That's really overly ambitious, though. I think that's a lot of ambition anyway, that require a lot of fucking storylines, and would be extensively limiting. Whatever, just a silly thing I came up with. None of it makes sense. I'm not a game designer. Let's move on. Drew8798 asks, now that you got your new gear, are you going to do more Let's Get On With It adventures with other people? Will you be doing a Let's Get On With It adventure of the new Thief game when it comes out? I think my LGWI collaborations will remain constant for the time being. I consistently, you know, do stuff with Lethal every Wednesday for many weeks now, and we both show no signs of stopping. Concerning the new Thief game, I have a hard enough time finishing the one I'm playing. I have no interest in the new one. Let's see here. Ghost King of the World asks, I believe I remember you mentioning not having spoken to Jeff in a while. Any specific reason or general busyness? How do you think the recent LGWI lives have gone, and do you plan on continuing to do them in the future? Jeff and I have shared a handful of sentences over the past year and a half. We have conflicting personalities and different interests, but I don't have ill will towards him. But I think I can speak for both of us when I say that we don't want to spend time together. You know, there are people who hang out and they do stuff together because they have commonalities, and they become friends, and then they stop having those commonalities and stop being friends. That is a thing that transpires in real life. And, you know, and sometimes I feel sad about them, sometimes I don't feel sad about them, and I just recognize the fact that that happens. Speed upgrading, woo! For everyone still, you know, hoping that we'll play another game together, because we don't even spend time together, keep dreaming? I'm not saying it's impossible, or that I would even be surprised, but I wouldn't lose sleep over it. As for the live broadcasts, they've turned out well. The chuckle fucks are no less stupid than what they were during last year's broadcast. I'm not sure what it is about me, or perhaps the internet in general, which results in my live viewers being conniving, lying sacks of shit. I like interacting with people, but the chat and the constant attention I pay to it can be exhausting. Extra Life 2013 ended up being the worst, with so many active participants over a 31-hour stretch. How I did it perplexes me as much as 3D printers. Now, for pure strategy mode, ideally that you'd want to leave, like blockades and shit at like level 4, because you can't repair during the combat phases, you can only upgrade. But I'm not sure how much effort I'll be applying here. Alright, entrant 14 comes from XX Mexican 453. Will you play any more Heroes of Might and Magic? Most certainly. In fact, I'll even be recording some Heroes of Might and Magic 3 sometime in 21X, so look forward to that. Question, or rather, entrant 15 is Pepsi a Can, who asks, do you even lift? And will you ever do more Liberal Crime Squad at some point? I lift myself through the power of dynamic resistance. As for Liberal Crime Squad, probably. I played enough LCS in my life. But I'm sure I'll return to it sometime in March 2014 to commemorate my 4th year anniversary. Next entrant, 16, is TandT89, who asks, why don't you do many videos with Jeff anymore? I love those. And did you imagine this channel to become such a large part of your life when you started it? I wonder how many times Jeff has gotten asked this over the past year and a half. I could at least put an ensnare aura here to stop kobolds from funneling through. That's a concern I have with kobolds coming through and detonating these before my towers can stop them. We'll see. Anyway, I think I addressed this point earlier, involving Jeff. Concerning your second question, the answer is no. I figured I'd be one and done with Liberal Crime Squad, yet here I am 3.5 years later, and this hobby is still a significant part of my life. Entrant 7 comes from Dantos, Dantos4, who writes, I always assumed you were liberal and or left-wing due to LCS. Could you describe what you would consider to be as close to a workable utopian society you'd like to live in politically, socially, and economically? Spare no detail. What else do you do apart from YouTube? It might be work-related, other hobbies, or volunteering you mentioned with kids. It's all very interesting seeing behind the curtains. Thanks for any reply, Grimgrams, and thank you for the years of videos. May they be many more. I think many of my viewers made easy assumptions about my political attitude. Folks nowadays who peer back at those early videos misinterpret my liberal comrades, modern potentials, and conservative sleeper scum slogan, not realizing the reference to my playthrough of Liberal Crime Squad. To answer your question, I think history and video games have proven that humans need a strong leader, a powerful federal government whose head of state is a reluctant intellectual, someone with strong administrative and organizational skills, but who doesn't find himself worthy of the position, a decisive nonpartisan who is wise enough to gather the counsel of others. I think after Vladimir G. Lenin's first question that I'm waxing George Washington here. To get back to your first query, in spite of its numerous flaws, I like the United States representative democracy, so I'll use it as the basis for this hypothetical situation. Despite the innovations of our time, a true democracy, on such a large scale for the federal government, would have too much bloat. So we'll keep Congress and its representative democracy as it is here. The biggest change to the, it's a republic, federal republic. The biggest change to the idealized political system here is that the entire thing would be nonpartisan. Every candidate running for federal office is open game on the ballot, with the top 2 nominees facing off against each other on a second ballot. No more gerrymandering that'd make even Boss Tammany go, wow. We'll even go a step further. The president may serve for as many terms as he can be elected, but none of these terms may be consecutive. Why? How much time do you think an incumbent U.S. president spends campaigning? Hell, how much time does he need to spend campaigning? The incumbent president has numerous and severe advantages. After all, he's the fucking president, with the power of the federal government to sway voters. You make the terms non-consecutive, and he can't waste time campaigning on the public dollar. So it's easy for him to actually do the fucking job the people voted him to do. And speaking of votes, the Electoral College? No. 1,000 times no. It is obsolete now. The presidency is a popular vote. That way, it actually feels like we have a functioning form of government. As for the socio-economic standards of such a society, the fuck if I know? I'm no sociologist or economist, and I don't care enough to pretend to be either. You know what? Fuck your question. You want utopia? Read Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. There's your utopia. It's boring as hell, right? Stagnant, without adversity. So clearly we need adversity. And that's why I've chosen a career path that'll allow me to live in a cardboard box for the rest of my life. You may have noticed that I'm not one for fantasizing about utopian societies. That's the most detail you're getting from me. Oh, and what else do I do apart from YouTube? Well, you clearly know some of that. I work, I read and write, I play games, I volunteer. Oh, and I'm a gourmand, so I cook. There you go. Now I'm closing the curtains again because mystery is absolutely essential for survival in my line of hobbying. Entrant 18 comes from a longtime viewer, Inudan, who I always have difficulty pronouncing name. Inudan. And I know this has been told to me. Who asks, why no beard in favorite representation of the Grim Reaper? First question is done. Second question, probably how I idealized it to be in my poetry and amateur artwork ever so long ago, when I first became fascinated with the undead and spun off a role-playing character, not to mention an entire internet identity from the concept. The two major pieces of artwork I've used as my avatar were both drawn by the same individual, a guy from way back when who had his own character to interact with mine. I think the artistic depiction suits me just fine. So that would be my favorite representation of it. Entrant 19 is 3Man75, who definitely has been around for a long fucking time. Hello there! He asks, Grimith, have you ever played MMORPGs like Guild Wars 2? If so, what do you think about them and the genre generally? As for my second question, what do you think about new cartoon shows? If you have time to see them, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 edition. Yes, I know it's an old franchise, but I still like it. I have rights, right? I played Asheron's Call a very long time ago, and I thought it was okay. I spent some time playing World of Warcraft back in college, and I thought it was alright. I was a loner undead shadow priest who liked the solo Scarlet Monastery. No Care Bear stuff for me, although I don't like PvP. I don't think the genre is inherently bad. The MMO aspect acts as a surrogate for live human interaction, and it can be fun to watch your characters grow in a dynamic world filled with a bunch of other characters. But I'm not that much of a social gamer. I like what I can control. And strangers are unknown variables which may waste considerable chunks of time. Besides, in WoW's case, I got tired of being a butcher. All I did was go around, zap mobs, and collect random body parts. Not quite the most engaging gameplay, but I don't inherently dislike or think other people are bad for spending thousands of hours playing such games. You just have to game responsibly. And that's true whether you're playing Guild Wars 2 or Civilization. You know, I just thought about the fact that I could actually try out these physical beams. I don't often use them much. I'm too used to laying down my magic blockades. Or spike blockades if I think the situation calls for it. Think about that some more. I stopped watching television on a regular basis back in 2006 when I moved to college. So I'm unfamiliar with new cartoon shows. I'm certainly not interested in them. But really, that's a blanket encompassing most shows. In short, I have an uninformed opinion, and I cannot adequately answer your query. Alright. And then 20, which I think will be the final one of this video. Which means that I'll probably be able to fit all of these questions pretty damn well in the video description. First question, I've been getting into D&D. I suck at it, though. Do you have any advice for me? Second question, what person do you enjoy making duo commentary videos with the most? I myself really enjoy you and Lethal Feline. In before I get a better question to ask and hate myself immensely. What is it you suck at? The game mechanics or the role-playing aspects? The version you're playing definitely matters. 3.5 is extensively bloated, and prior versions can be a minefield of pain. 4E, on the other hand, has been so simplified that a group may find it difficult to breathe roleplay back into it. Are you going with one of the earlier versions of it? Are you have like a beta of D&D Next or something? Has that been officially released and I haven't realized it? Or are you having trouble with both? Let's say you're having trouble with both. You won't learn game mechanics better without spending time on them. Create rules cheat sheets to help you in combat, or another difficult situation. Use bookmarks to quickly flip through source books. Practice, practice, practice. As for role-playing, well, that most certainly takes practice, too. The whole RP aspect really depends on your group. How is everyone else in your group playing, and what does everyone in the group expect to get out of the experience? There's nothing wrong with a tabletop group going light on roleplay and heavy on combat, turning a particular rule set into a dungeon crawl, but everyone needs to know that in advance. Naturally, watching other people play the game, or listening to the experiences of others, can give you insight and ideas you can bring into your own games. But really, there's nothing wrong with taking your time. I've been playing tabletop role-playing games for 18 years. I definitely wasn't as comfortable then as I am now. Now, about your second question, no, I'm not touching this one. And with that, folks, I think we'll go ahead and conclude this first part to the Ask Question, Receive Bacon Fast. Hooray!